Good evening everyone and welcome to our meeting. My first act as standing Town Mayor is to invite nominations for the coming year for the position of Town Mayor. Please may I have your nominations? Speak to me.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Lorraine de Simon.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Thank you, Pat. And I gratefully accept. It's a great honour, thank you. Do you want me to sign the paper? Or?
We can do that.
Okay, no problem. In line, just a quick word to say that in line with government's advice, we need to keep this meeting as short as possible. Right, agenda item 2. It is now my duty to invite nominations for the deputy term, please. Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item 3 to receive apologies for
Excuse me, Lorraine, the hearing is broken. Can you speak up just a little bit?
If I shout any louder, I think I'm going to...
Sorry about that.
Agenda item 3 to
Right.
receive apologies for absence. Teacher voice on. Any apologies? I think we're all here,
No
aren't we?
apologies received, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item 4 to approve and adopt the standing orders for Cramlington Town Council. Can I hand you over to our town clerk for paper,
No,
please?
there are no amendments to standing orders apart from the change. You recall, members, that we didn't actually have an annual meeting as such last year because of the restrictions imposed by the pandemic. During that year, we did change the position of chairman of the council to the position of town mayor. The only change to standing orders is to incorporate that change into the...
Can I also make a point, Chair, that subsection 30, financial matters, paragraph E and paragraph F is making reference to the European Commission, which I think may or may not be relevant anymore, so we need to look at that, get that changed.
Yes, we'll make that amendment. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Bob. Okay. Agenda item 5 to approve and adopt the financial regulations for Cramlington Town Council. And again, Mrs. Bob, please.
Again, Chair, we've made no significant changes to financial regs, but I have been advised that also reference to the European Commission is included, and those changes will be incorporated in the revised version.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, agenda item 6 to appoint an internal auditor. Oh, I'm sorry, it's you again.
I defer to John Harvey, who will tell us who the internal auditor is going to be for this coming year.
Last year you appointed Michael Monroe as your internal auditor, and I think he did a very good job, and so I would recommend that you reappoint him for the forthcoming year.
Okay. Okay with everybody?
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. Right, thank you, John. Agenda item 7 to approve the schedule of delegations. Albert, please.
Just Mayor, sorry, Mayor. There are two significant changes to the schedule of delegations this year. The schedule of delegations, as you may know, is essentially about committees and committee structure and committee membership. What we are proposing, and this is purely to make proportionality easier, is to reduce the number of members on each standing committee from 6 to 5, plus the mayor and deputy mayor as ex officio voting members. That is one change. Another change, Chair, is the proposal to establish a community and youth committee, and I believe everyone's been circulated some draft functions and delegations of that committee. So again, I would ask you to approve the schedule of delegations subject to the changes that I've just outlined.
Right, any accepted? Scott, have you got that?
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone in favour?
Agreed.
Okay, agenda item 8 to appoint a chair, vice chair and members to serve on the undermentioned committees. That's the DSM, the Development and Strategic Management, personnel and personnel panels, a hearing panel, recruitment panel and appeals panel. Rob, please.
Yes, Mayor, I have been advised by the administration of chairs and vice chairs. For the DSM, it is proposed that Councillor Eshchil-Shaban will be, I'm starting. Chair of the DSM committee will be Councillor Swinburne, and Councillor Christine Dunbar, will be vice chair. The community and youth will be Councillor Helen Morris as chair, with Councillor Barry Flux as vice chair. I also have from the administration their representatives on each of those committees, and I would ask the independent member and the Labour member to advise me as to which committee they wish to be on, so that we can complete the committee membership for us.
I would like to go on the Development and Strategic Management Committee.
So that, Bob.
Okay, well we only have one place, so I think we need to discuss this outside the meeting and come to a view as to who goes on which committee. Okay.
Councillor Morris, do you have a question?
I'd just like to say I was delighted to accept the chairperson of the Community and Youth Committee. I think it's a match made in heaven with me and Barry sort of being the management side and Steve and Maggie being on the youth and community side. I think it's a great team. I think it's going to be work wonders for the town council.
Sure it will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item 9.
Yes, Chair, this is...
Sorry, to appoint representatives on the under-mentioned bodies as required. Okay, that's the NALC County Committee. And can I say, actually, it was pointed out, it would be good that whoever is appointed could report back to the council occasionally, and it can be verbally, just covering significant issues which you think may be of import. Just so as everyone's kept up to date. Thank you, Bob.
Yes, Chair. Thank you. Of course, Chair, you are the representative
NALC.
on the now Council Committee. I'm not aware that I've received nominations for the other outside bodies as yet, but if you could confirm those with me as soon as possible.
I did send them through on an email, but I can resend that to the committee. Yeah.
Do we get, sorry, Councillor Wade, what day? Wayne.
Wait, well, wait. I've been called worse. Go on.
Sorry, do we get informed as well? You copy me in and whoever else needs to.
Yeah, we agreed at our own meeting.
Yes,
I'll
I know we
I'll
did.
resend
Well,
it. Yeah.
I know, it's just that I haven't received anything either.
All right, okay.
Thank you. Okay, are we done? Well, with that then?
That's,
So agenda item, we seem to have gone with numbering again, it's agenda item 10, not 11, to agree the days and times of ordinary meetings of the council and committees for the ensuing year. And you will see the schedule attached in the brightly coloured glove paper, nice brightly coloured, right at the back, yeah? Okay. So please put those dates in your diary.
Sorry, Chair, Mayor. A revised schedule has been distributed as part of the new committee structure.
Why would I know about that?
That's been circulated.
Right, I haven't got it. I've probably just given mine to put them in the okay. Right, I'm just the town now, why would I know? Okay, right, here ended then the annual meeting. Can we move on, please? To meeting of the Cramlington Town Council. Today, Thursday the 4th. No, it's not Thursday the 4th, is it? That's the minutes, that's right, sorry. Thank you. Thursday the 20th of May, it just feels like March. So cold. Okay, the agenda then, here we go. Everyone okay? Item 1, apologies for absence, and I think we've already established that there's nobody missing, so apologies.
Full attendance.
Full attendance, yes. Town Mayor's announcements, agenda item 2. May I welcome newly elected councillors and commiserations to those who were not elected but I thank you for your hard work and all your efforts. Thank you. Do I need to say any more about the pandemic? I just think it's just, if you're offered an injection, please go for it. You do need to, and in the meantime, please be aware that it's hands, face, space, and outdoors. I mean, it feels like we're outdoors tonight, but we're technically not, as you can see.
An hour ago.
Oh, did you? You've got 3 weeks to go then, Barry, and I hope you're not poorly. Okay, agenda item 3, to approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 4th of March 2021. Have these agreed, please?
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Mark.
Can I just say about the minutes for the previous one?
The 4th of March?
Yes, I was there, but it's also got me down as apologies for absence.
And you were there?
But that's the only one.
So she was there, so she's yeah. Okay.
Sharing spirit.
But in body as well, apparently, God. Okay, are there any disclosures of interest, please?
Pink papers. I'm not actually on the Mayfields as a councillor, I go as a resident. Is that all right? It's
Yes.
It's
Yes, in part 2, yes.
right.
Okay, Anne, yes, thank you. Right, agenda item 5, annual report 2021. Oh, please.
Yes, Chair, very brief on this, because I think what it does do is outline, notwithstanding the pandemic, the amount of work that the council achieved during the last year. And we actually did get through a lot, and we've introduced lots of new schemes. And so I'm sure you've all had the opportunity to go through this, and I'd simply invite any questions on specifics within it.
Anyone? Yes, Wayne.
Thank you. For everybody who's read the report, which I'm sure you all have, and for any members of the public who are watching, that is available on our website, is that correct?
It is indeed.
Sorry, will the camera pick that up?
The camera will pick up the fact that there is a report, and obviously people can read it. I think the thing for me is, and this is really, I think, quite an important point, both Councillor Mitchison and I, we're the two oldest here, because we were...
Now, come on, Wayne, don't be rude.
We're the two oldest serving members, Anne.
Yeah, and
because we were like
the
longest serving members from 2009. And I think it's important to remember just how big a journey this town council has actually had. Because back in 2009, we had a precept of £57,000 for a town of nearly 30,000 people. We look at what we're doing now, we are funding nearly, I think it's just short of £1 million worth of investment into our town, ranging from cleaning and greening, ranging from the work that we've done on the entry signs, which people will see throughout Cramlington, the estate entry signs, the work which has been done on flowers and improvements of our infrastructure, and, as the report clearly points out, the work that we're doing on funding enforcement officers, enforcement teams. As you've heard in the earlier part of the meeting, we've got a brand new committee set up, and you might think, oh wow, that's a committee, wonderful. It's not, it's a committee at which our staff, who are dealing with young people and community of all ages, are actually delivering work out there in the streets. So I just think it's really important to remember that statutorily, this council, and I beg to be corrected if I'm wrong, is responsible for allotments, parks, a few bins, and a few benches. That's pretty much what we're meant to do. But if that's what we were meant to do, that was never good enough for anybody on this town council. And I think what this has proven is, through the leadership of Bob Baker and his team, Adam, who's sitting in the background here, John and Maggie and Darryl and Steve, but also the elected members who've served on here from 2009. We've gradually moved, we've gradually gone forward, and now we are delivering pretty much more than any other town council in Northumberland, and I would argue probably more than any town council in England. If you look at the range of what we're doing and what we're planning for the future, which is around that investment in CCTV, the investment with our police and our safety hubs, to to ensure that our town is a safe place to live in, but it's also clean, green, with the fantastic new flowers which are going in. And the stuff that I think is really exciting, over the past few weeks, people will have seen the gradual opening of the big library in the centre of Cramlington. Well, we're part of that because the Cramlington hub is in there. It's actually called the Hub at Cramlington. And that is a unique project which will see communities linked together, voluntary sector, private sector, young, old alike. There's a community training kitchen in there. There are meeting rooms in there. There is a fully disabled wet room toilet in there, which is so important to ensure that members of our community who have mobility issues can actually get in there. And we are part of that as a town council. And as we recently announced, taking over the failing Eastfield Pavilion and actually turning that into an iconic site for sport, for community development, which our team are absolutely involved in. So, you know, if we were doing the bog standard basic stuff as a town council, we'd be sitting here with 2 pages going, oh, the bus shelter's nice, or we've planted a few flowers, and by the way, we've got a couple of chairs. We ain't done that. You look at this, and this screams an ambitious council, an ambitious town, and this is just part and parcel of what I think we are going to develop over the next 4 years. So I am really excited about the opportunity that we've got going forward, particularly with the funding opportunity that we have, both from outside sources, but also funding the town council has, to do really innovative things for our community. And I think the key for us, and I think I'm speaking for all members here, irrespective of what your politics are, listen to your communities, act on what your communities say, and the communities will actually welcome that. And I am delighted that, you know, as a Conservative, we're the first administration to be re-elected in Cramlington. This is a 2-term, second-term administration, so I'm really proud of that. And to be fair, I think we pretty much left politics out of things in Cramlington and actually got on with doing our job, which I think is pretty much what the public want. So it is a good read. It tells you loads of stuff about what we've done, but also tells you about what we plan to do. And I look forward to next year's report, which I hope will be even fuller of some fantastic projects, not least the stuff that people are saying now in every part of Cramlington is that input into our play provision for our young people. We need to do more for our older communities, and that's exactly what the hub at Cramlington will do. So on that basis, Chair, I really want to say that I think this report is excellent, and thank you very much to the staff and to you, Bob, for actually making sure that all of this stuff actually happens. So, thank you.
Wayne, can I just say thank you for that sparkling speech. It was absolutely wonderful. I am so proud to be town mayor, really am.
Could I just, Chair, just 3 points I think which I can raise. I think one of the very good things about this council is since its inception, every vacancy has been contested. And that's very rarely the case in parish and town councils in other parts of the county. So there's a real desire for people to be elected and to be on the council, to contest vacancies when they arise. The next point I'd raise is that despite the fact that we have increased our administration costs recently with the setting up of the youth and community team, we still have one of the lowest proportions of expenditure on administration of any council in South East Northumberland, particularly the larger town councils. And related to that, we still have the lowest precept of any council in South East Northumberland. I think those are very important, that we are delivering, but we are providing also value for money.
Absolutely. Sorry, could I just, there was one thing I forgot.
Oh, you're not finished yet,
No, there was one thing I forgot, and it was remiss of me totally.
It is still cold in here.
It was totally remiss of me. Not only do I hope members of the public read this, but I forgot to name check our 2 new councillors, Councillor Scott Lee and Councillor Steve Garrett, who are new to the Town Council. And I tell you what, if you read this, you are joining a really exciting Town Council. So I forgot to name check you both, so welcome on board.
Well, now we have to just make, sorry.
Can I just take from Paul,
Yeah,
please?
Right, I just wanted to make a remark before, but I think it reinforces what Bob said in his second remark. If you look at this pie chart, the administration is less than 25% of the whole budget. So we are really delivering less than 25%. If you look at the pie chart here.
Yeah.
So we are really delivering good value for money. I mean, that's really appreciated. And the second is a small question. Maybe Bob may differ it later on. The council budget is £937,000. So where are we standing in relation to, in terms of budget size, in relation to Blythe, maybe Martha? Any idea?
Well, the situation is that we don't have as higher budgets in terms of precept income as Blythe or Ashington.
Yes.
But we are fairly high up there now. Because of our population, we have a large population, the second largest town in Northumberland, and so yeah, you would get a higher precept simply because of that.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Yes, Mayor, I was just going to pick up on the points that Bob made a few moments ago about the amount of contest for places. There's something that Wayne said also about how he may be the longest serving, actually I'm the newest serving. However, I moved to Cramlington in 2005, and the journey that you just described in this report is something I've witnessed as a plain old resident. Raising my
they're never playing on
raising my two very young children, they are teenagers in high school, and basically what I've seen in growing in, as Bob picked up on, is that I want to be part of that. That's why I stood for election.
Good, well, it's nice to have you on board.
I do have some ideas that I'll be coming along in due course to add to this report, so I just want to make that point. Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, you've both put your hands up together. Can we show ladies first, Mark?
Yeah.
Christine?
Thank you.
Well, Christine, you know.
Out of the report, I just want to really thank the council, this council, for supporting the Eastfield Community Pavilion, taking over to the asset transfer. I think everyone knows, and I'm definitely county councillors know, that for the last 3 years I've been trying to push and get something done, and it fell through, and I kept on going, and you know, and the county were dragging the heels. And this is a building that it's not fit for purpose at the moment, and it's got so much potential. And the community down there, and for the rest of the town, it's going to be something that's going to be really exciting. And I just really want to thank all the councillors here for supporting that, because I couldn't have done it without the support of all the other members. And Norman and I are just waiting to get our sleeves rolled up and stuck in and really make something special. And now we've got the mandate for the next 4 years to do it, and we are going to make that place sparkle. It'll be brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christine. Tenacity always counts.
Yeah, good for you.
Thank you, Mayor. Just picking up on things that Councillor Daly said and the amount of work that's been done in the past year, which is in this report, but prior to that as well. We have a very reactive council. You know, we don't sit here and think, what can we do next? We're reacting to what the residents of Cramlington want in their town and what they want us to do. And that's why we strive to do better in the town. So, yes, as Councillor Daly said, we have plans, and these plans are all around what residents want within the town and what things to improve. But we are very reactive on point as well. And, you know, things that I mentioned in here, and especially over this past year, which has been so difficult for everybody with regards to COVID. But with the free school lunches, you know, within a matter of days, we picked up on that. Hours. It was phone calls within hours, wasn't it? And we pulled that around. We were the first town council in Northumberland to jump on that, and then others followed. You know, and you know, with the help with food parcels, with COVID grants from the town council, you know, and as well as that, we have our own community chest. You know, people need to understand that they can apply, groups can apply to us for community chest money as well, and we have money set aside for that, as well as, you know, they can apply to the county for that as well. We have it here. So we don't just plan ahead for the long term, we react straight away. And that's what we do, and that's why we're here. It's all about what residents want us to do. We've got the play parks. We look at being a child-friendly town. The play parks were not up to standard, and we had some that were run by the county council, and we didn't feel that they were good enough standard for the children in our town. so we took them on board off the county council. We've invested money in them. It's not all taxpayers' money, it's been grant money that we've got hold of as well, and we want them to be better. And we're still working on them being better and providing better facilities. Alexandra Parks is currently being done up, and there's more on the way. I think Northburn's having improvements at this present time. And we'll always be there, we're always striving to do better for our town. And as Wayne said, we're not sat in there putting a couple of benches in and putting a couple of flowers in. We're always looking at how better we can make it for our town, because that's what the residents want in Cramlington, and that's what they deserve.
Thank you, Mark. And I think on that point, you do say we react to our residents' needs and requirements, which we do. But I think we're also very proactive in what we do.
Yeah.
Larry.
So, as the youngest councillor in Cramlington, I'm delighted.
Not by far, Barry.
Barry, I'm the oldest.
I'm
So proud.
I'm delighted to see all the work we are going to continue doing with the young people in Cramlington. I think we've been incredibly proactive in bringing forward new initiatives, and I'm looking forward to working with Helen on that committee as a vice chair. I would say I've served the last less than a year, last 9 months as the business chair of the county council, and I may be continuing that beyond May. And I think it's really important to stress that it's important we work with county council, and that will be a proactive relationship going forward, and then we can bring as two different bodies, bring forward what the needs are for this town. I represent some of the oldest communities, the longest standing communities in Cramlington, and communities, the newest communities as well. And I'm looking forward to doing my very best to have all of those residents as a town councillor over the next 4 years. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you. All positive stuff. Wonderful. Okay, anybody else before I move on? Agenda item number 6. Outturn report for the year ending 31st of March 2021. Hand you over to John.
Thank you, Chair. Down here, sorry. Your financial year runs from April to March, and we've just finished. So my report sets out a summary of the position. I'll not go through line by line because it's not my style. I'll go through the headlines. Financial regulations don't need any further review. You've already appointed your internal auditor. I mentioned the asset register, which it's an accounting thing and an insurance thing. But we've had to keep it up to date this year, more so than ever. So, you know, that's the boring bits. If I take on to page 2, I have to confess a typo, and you'll have all realised it's you should have been looking at Appendix A, not Appendix B. But you're so astute, you'll have done that. So this is again a summary of your income and expenditure account for the year. Despite what has been for us all a very, very strange year, not just the COVID, moving the offices, and most importantly setting up the new operations team, we still managed to end up with a small underspending, which is great. The balance sheet shows you the position at the end of the year, 31st of March. There's a few big numbers, and I've tried to explain those. I didn't want anybody to run away with the idea we had £500,000 for the cash and we could all run away. We do tend to owe this, or we have, it includes 150,000 we're just spent on the playgrounds. So we've got lots of cash at the end of the year, but that wasn't all money we could spend. So can I just pause there and invite any questions about the detail?
Yes, any questions, Christine?
Yeah. Appendix D, Children's Playgrounds,
Yep.
2.12. Clarification. Can you tell me whether the mugger is counties or towns? Because I've got an email paused to send to get the mugger repainted, and I was told that the county had, because they painted teen shelters
So which muggers are we talking about? 'Cause
It's the Mugger, Eastfield Mugger and Playground. So I know the playground's town councils.
Can I ask Adam to clarify, because this is exactly the question I've asked him.
It's the county council that guys responsible.
So knock out the Mugger and get that email sent off to county as soon as possible.
Jimmy Reef, I think it is.
No, I'll go straight. I'll go to Cribbin or Gavin.
Okay, well, Jim Reef's done some recent
Oh yeah,
work
Jimmy. Yeah.
at Beacon Hill, so.
Yeah, I know Jimmy. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll move on.
John?
Sorry.
Sorry, no.
Yeah,
That's really silent of me, sorry, my fault.
John, can I just ask, and actually it might be Adam that can answer this one, under the income and expenditure account, point 5 allotments, we have, that was actually repairing fencing around 8,000, clearing 2 vacated sites, cost almost £8,000. Was there no possibility of recovering that from the previous tenants, as that's what we normally have written in, isn't it?
That particular expenditure, we actually turned those 2 allotments into 6 or 7 plots. So we, over the long run, we will receive that money back.
Right. Okay, thanks very much.
Can I just specifically mention, because when I told you in December that we aim as a council simply to recover the cost of the allotments. When you set the new rates where you didn't increase the allotments because actually things looked fine in December, the big expenditure came after we set the new rents. So hence we, instead of breaking even for about the 10th year in a row, you actually spent more on allotments than you ever get in. Just to mention that point. Okay. Technically, the important thing now is the annual governance return, which is the documents we have to send off to the external auditors. It has quite a few pages. The first page is your internal auditor goes through and certifies that they've done all the checks that are necessary on your accounts. Michael Monroe gives a clean bill of health. Perfectly happy. Appendix B, which is the annual governance statement, is you confirming that you are exercising sound internal control. As I have told you on every other occasion, I think your internal control as a council is second to none. The way you have separation of duties, the way you have reporting and all of that. So I would recommend that the town mayor will duly sign that after this meeting,
yes, of course,
before she disappears. And the Appendix C is a summary of your accounts which we send to, again has to go to the external auditors. It bears repeating for the benefit of our new councillors that it probably means nothing to any of you. It's a statutory format. I think it's so they can just compare us with every other authority, because that's the sort of questions I get back. We have to put it on our website. I don't think it's very informative for our residents, so we make sure we put our full accounts on and are available. And I think we're the only council in this area which actually does that. And I think it's important.
It is, yeah.
So again, I'll ask the town mayor to sign that before she disappears. For your information, those are not the only documents we have to send off. I have to send off a whole raft of supporting information, which I'll not bore you with. Effectively, it means we actually do all the work and we pay a fee for somebody else to look at all the work we've done. We also have to publish on the website a transparency code, which is simply a list of all the payments over £500. We always do that. It's available. As I've said before, we have nothing to hide. Public are entitled to formally inspect their accounts, and we have to publish that. So they did suggest, I think from the 14th of June, and I suggested maybe the 21st of June was a better date, for obvious reasons.
Step 5, yeah.
But it's there. As ever, we're open, and we don't restrict our residents just asking questions in those 6 weeks. We're always happy to answer questions 52 weeks of the year. So if there's any further questions.
Thank you, John. Very thorough as usual.
Thank you. I think I'm just intrigued, just a simple question. In the Appendix A operations team, the budget was 65.8K and the actual was 98.5K. There seems to be a big jump. Is there any specific reasons for that?
Because at the start of the year, you had 2 guys. And in September, you decided you were going to set up a new team. So in addition to, you appointed the supervisor in February. So we had a couple of months of the supervisor. And you also had to buy equipment. And in my notes, I do mention the fact that it includes £28,000 worth of one-off costs. Just it's the cost to set up the team. Usually what I do after each of your meetings, when you've made a decision, I amend your estimates accordingly. This wasn't really appropriate this time because we really didn't know how much it was going to cost. It wasn't, I should suggest, a leap of faith, and it's been done. And we still managed to set the team up and have a few pennies left at the end of the year.
So this major portion is not a recurring cost. There are
well, in fact, this year's budget for the operation teams is significantly higher because you've now got 5 members of the team. So whilst we're not having the setting up costs again, it's only fair that the guys out there doing the job are paid.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Yes.
Any further questions?
If I could just add to John's comment.
Yes, of course.
Because it's an important issue, certainly last year, was the fact that the council took the decision to end the partnership arrangement with the county council because we felt it simply wasn't offering value for money.
Yes.
One of the reasons that you have significant funds available for new priorities this year is the decision to take much of that work on in-house and employ new staff to do it, in-house staff that you have total control over, rather than have a sort of contract arrangement with the county council.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a major change, isn't it, compared to the past, so it's worth mentioning. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, agenda item 7, members' questions. Members are invited to address questions to the chairman or clerk and to report matters for consideration by the committee. Yes, sorry, Mayor, now I've made the mistake, but I know what I am. So, are there any questions? Members' questions? Paul?
Are they doing weed killer spraying? Are they spraying weed killers? It doesn't seem to have any impact so far in our estate, basically.
Then I can probably come in a minute.
Okay.
The main weed spraying programme has been delayed this year because of the bad weather that we've had, and all the delayed frosts. So normally they would have started it by now with the main weed killing programme, but it has been delayed. And I'm sure that the services manager, Darryl, will cascade all the information once the main programme starts.
Thank you.
All right.
I was just going to say on that, myself and Councillor Hurd had some complaints put to us about spraying in East Hertford. We've raised that with Tony Griddin, and I'm sure he'll be coming back to us with an answer. I'm sure our councillors have made representations and he's acknowledged that, so I'm sure he'll report back in due course.
That's good, sir. Thank you. Yes, Steve.
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to ask the question, the 2 signs that have just gone up at the entrance to Barnes Park and Southfield Gardens about no school traffic beyond
Is that
this
the
point.
polite notices?
A light notice. Just want to know where they came from. It's a village one, obviously.
Yep.
I don't know what the situation. Obviously, it's in South East. We get a lot of complaints regarding Cragside School and the parking situations in. I did a preliminary little observation exercise this morning to see what the state of play has been a new councillor. But the residents across there are beginning to get a little agitated that across the road they've got signs put up. So I want to know where they came from.
Yes, please,
I'll come in there. On Village Ward, we had a number of complaints from residents with regards to senseless and indiscriminate parking at school times. So it's not only in those estates, it's on Doxford Place, Alexander Way, and the Stonewall estates as well, where parents are coming in droves and blocking people's driveways. Residents have received significant abuse when they've just basically said, want to get in your car, want to get out of your car, And this is like the first step to basically ask parents not to come into those areas. We have the best cycle network in the country, equal only by Milton Keynes, if that. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, there's only us Milton Keynes have such a similar, I was just getting checked there, have such a similar cycle network. And yet everyone seems to want to drop everyone off right at the door. We've had, on the village ward, we've had significant support by one school, and there's some ongoing work there. And we're hoping now to get some support from the high school. I've been in contact with the head there, and hopefully things are moving on there. The county council was asked to take some action on one school in your area when it combined with the primary school. Unfortunately, no progress was made when it did combine. And as a result, everyone parks in the streets of the village. So there's a number of streets where these signs have gone up. It's worked in some areas, and unfortunately it hasn't in the other areas. As you'll be aware, sorry for dragging this out, but as you'll be aware, there's a big move towards reducing congestion, pollution, etc. Both the government and the county council are pressing on the healthier lifestyle for people for walking and cycling. And we need to try and promote that more and get people out of cars and walking and cycling to school. So these are the first stage in trying to get people to reduce congestion and stop cramming into residents, roadways where people live, and think of alternative ways of getting to school. If we can't improve things that way, unfortunately, demand from residents is that they are want to progress things to make some of these estates as permanent parking areas, so that if residents carry on that way, then they'll basically be fined for parking in those areas. So I would hope that some people will take a bit of notice of these signs and think of alternative ways of travel to school for some of them. And it's quite frustrating when I've had it myself with the high school, where somebody actually lives just on the other side of the dual carriageway, and is insistent that they will drive their child from that side to the other side of the dual carriageway, and will even park on the no stopping. It's not even just OE hours, it's a no stopping area just to drop their child off at the high school. So there's a bit more thought needed by some people on travel to school. So that's why it's not just on Barnes Park, Southfield Gardens, there's a number of states on our area, and it's driven by demand from residents because of increased traffic volume, where some people just can't even get off their driveway.
Thank you very much, Mark, for your thorough response.
Can I have a quick reply to this, Mark? Who put the signs in? The county? Who did you go through?
It was done through the town council, but with the approval of county.
I'll get back to you, Mark.
Yes, that's what we wanted to know, so thank you, Christine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, I'm so not used to seeing you, when you're hidden behind your phone, sorry.
I just wondered if it would be possible to get a list of contact information for officers at county. It'd be particularly useful for the two new councillors, but a lot of information's changed and a lot's out of date. And also the information on the police officers responsible for which estates, because I believe some of those have changed as well.
Certainly for the police officers, I'm sure we can provide those. The only point I'd make is that the county council are very guarded about giving out direct line numbers for staff.
It's just
we have great problems contacting people because we generally have to go through the contact centre.
But I know at times sort of through last year I was trying to contact officers who in fact left, but I had no new information for. So anything that could be passed on would be
I may have
very
a
useful.
quiet word with one or two county councillors to see if they could help us on it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that will be useful, even for a new county councillor.
Any more questions? Okay, we move on to part 2. You picking the right, Adam. Sitting on your high chair there, are you okay?
Mayor, would it be helpful to explain to the public what part 2 means?